Let me ask you something real quick. When's the last time somebody asked you how you were doing? Not your business, not your numbers, not your next move, just you. So I'm asking you, how are you doing? And when was the last time you actually answered that question honestly? Because for a lot of us, that question gets deflected with a smirk and I'm good, I'm grinding. We answer it with output, with our resume, with the bag. And I get it. That's been the language we were taught, right? Or maybe we even caught it growing up. But today we're going deeper than that because what I'm noticing in conversations that I've been having in the DMs, in the mirror with myself is that a lot of ambitious men are operating under a kind of silent weight that nobody's talking about publicly. And I'm not going to let us skip over it. This is SAUNAIE. I'm your host, XO, and today we're talking about the pressure to provide, what it does to your mind, your identity, and your peace. So let's jump into it. Before I get into this, let me be specific about who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the brother who's building something, who's got ambition written in his DNA, who wakes up with goals before he even brushes his teeth. I know how it is. Who carries responsibility for his family, his team, his community, and who does it mostly in silence because that's just what he signed up for. I'm talking to the man who would never describe himself as struggling because struggling feels like a word that people use when they've given up, right? And if you're watching this, you listen to this, you haven't given up. You're right in the middle of the push. But here's what I want you to sit with today. Pushing hard and caring silently are two different things. One is ambition and the other, the other one. The other is a slow leak. And today we're going to figure out which one you're actually doing. So let's start with what providing really costs. And here's the thing about pressure to provide that nobody puts in the highlight reel. It starts in childhood. Yes, it starts in childhood, if you didn't know. Not as a lesson. Someone sat you down and taught you, but as something you absorbed, or internalized before you even had the vocabulary for it. You watch men around you define their worth by their contribution, by what they brought home, by whether the lights were on. You see the lights is on now. And somewhere along the way, you made a quiet decision, probably without realizing it, that your value as a man was directly tied to what you could provide, not who you are, what you produce. And if you come from a community where resources were scarce, where the safety net had holes in it, where the margin of error was thin, that pressure didn't just feel real, it was real. And it is real. We all know that. But here's where it gets complicated. When the pressure becomes your identity, when you become the provision, everything that threatens your ability to provide starts to feel like a threat to your existence. Losing a client isn't just a business setback. A slow month isn't just cash flow. Being behind on a goal isn't just delay. It starts to feel like evidence that you're not enough. Research from American Association of Medical Colleges found that men are socialized to define their worth by their ability to contribute economically. And when that's threatened, many men don't just feel like they're failing, they feel like they are a failure. That's the difference. And that distinction is everything. That's the weight I'm talking about. Not just the external pressure of bills and responsibilities, that internal pressure of identity that's been stitched together with the thread of performance. And the weight carried alone in silence over time has a cost. And we all know numbers don't lie. People do. I want to give you some context here because I think when we see the numbers, it stops feeling like a personal problem and starts feeling like a systemic one. Only about 17% of men in the U.S. received mental health treatment or counseling in the past year. 17%. And this isn't because men aren't struggling. It's because the way we've been taught to process struggle doesn't include asking for help. Ain't that some shit? Men account for nearly 80% of suicides in this country. 80%. And Black Americans have seen a 58% increase in suicide rates from 2011 to 2021. Ain't that, man, it's tough. Men account for nearly 80% of U.S. suicides, yet only 17% saw mental health treatment in the past year. Fellas, what are we doing? We know now we have resources, outlets when it comes to checking on our mental health. That's one of the main reasons why I started this platform, because men's mental health is rarely discussed. So every week we dive into mental health and really getting that help, building that community. We all got to be here for each other. We all taught, provide, be strong, be the strong one. But sometimes the strong one needs other people to lean on to carry that weight for them. We are the most at-risk group and the least likely to reach for help. The math ain't mathing, right? And here's the part that I think explains a lot of this. Researchers call it precarious manhood. The idea that being a man isn't a fixed state, it's an achievement, something you have to constantly earn and defend. So every time something threatens your ability to provide, the economy, a bad quarter, a failed relationship, or even a health setback, it doesn't just challenge your situation, it challenges your manhood, your legitimacy, your right to take up space. Man, this is an enormous amount of psychological weight to carry. And most of us carrying it alone because we learned that carrying it was a job. But here's the reframe I want you to receive. Your income is a resource. Your identity is a foundation. When you confuse the two, every financial storm becomes an identity crisis. And that's unsustainable. So your ability to earn money is real, right? It matters. But it's not the same thing as who you are. And when you separate those two things, really separate them, something shifts, something softens. Now, something softens, not in your drive, not in your grit. So let's talk about that silent stress ambitious men carry. If you're like me, you're very ambitious, and you sometimes you carry that silent stress if you don't have no outlet to release that stress. And this one's particularly sneaky, and I call it the ambition tax. When you're a driven man, you don't always know you're stressed, because stress doesn't always look like breaking down. Especially for men, we don't break down, right? Sometimes it looks like grinding harder, adding more to your plate, filling that silence with productivity, so you never have to sit still long enough to feel what's actually going on. The ambitious man's version of a breakdown is a crime. It's isolation, it's irritability, it's numbing out. It's being present in the room but gone in your head. It's snapping at the people you love and then wondering why you feel so disconnected from everything that's supposed to matter. Sound familiar? Studies show that men tend to regulate emotions through action rather than words. That's not weakness. That's actually by design. That's how many of us are wired. But the problem is when action becomes avoidance, when staying busy becomes a way to not feel things that need to be felt, that's what happens. A 2025 Gallup analysis found that 1 in 4 U.S. males aged 15 through 34 reported feeling lonely a lot of the day. And 50% of men now report having 0 close friends, up from just 3% in 1990. We're more connected than ever these days, but yet more alone than ever. That loneliness compounds the pressure to provide, because when you have no one you can be real with, no one you can say, yo, I'm struggling to, you start to believe that you're the only one holding this weight, which makes you grip it even tighter. And here's the real talk. The system was never designed to catch you. As a Black man specifically, the statistics show that racial and ethnic disparities in mental health care access are real and documented. We are less likely to be correctly diagnosed, more likely to be misunderstood by providers who mistake our pain for anger. and more likely to internalize that dismissal as confirmation that we should have handled it ourselves. So what do? We keep caring, we keep performing, we keep providing until we can't. So let's talk about releasing that carry everything narrative, right? I want to be careful. I want to be careful here because I'm not about to tell you to stop being ambitious. I'm not going to tell you to stop providing for your people. That's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to challenge you on is the story underneath the ambition. Because there's a difference between providing from a place of love and purpose and providing from a place of fear and proving. And a lot of us, if we're honest, are running on the second one. Providing from fear sounds like if I slow down, everything falls apart. Providing from love sounds like I build because I care about what I'm building toward. Proving sounds like I have to show them I'm enough. Purpose sounds like I know my worth. This is what I'm choosing to create. And that shift right there from fear to purpose, from proving to knowing, that's not a soft concept. That's an elite mental performance upgrade. Because when you're running on fear, every obstacle is a threat. But when you're grounded in purpose, obstacles become information. And the research is clear. When men define themselves by their ability to provide, economic turbulence doesn't just affect their bank account, it affects their sense of self. But when identity is stable, when you know who you are beyond what you produce, you become resilient in a completely different way. So I bet you're wondering, how do I start to make this shift? The first thing we do, you might want to grab a pen and a paper. First one is name the narrative, not out loud to anyone else necessarily, but to yourself. Where did you first learn that your worth was tied to your output? Who modeled that for you? And does that story still serve you, or has it become a cage? Number 2, separate the roles from self. You're a provider, you are a builder, you are ambitious. Those are things you do and things you value. They're not the totality of who you are. Your worth does not clock in and clock out with your bank account. And third, let one person in. Not social media, not a broadcast, one person, a friend, a mentor, a therapist, your partner who gets to know you, who gets to know the real way of what you've been carrying. And understanding that it's life. We all will have some weight to carry, especially with men. We have the carry to provide. And it's not weakness letting other people in because you're not weak. Carrying this alone is a choice that costs you more than you even realize. Because here's the truth. It took me a while to understand, man. But I'm grateful that I fully understand it now, and I want to share with you guys. Strength is not the absence of need. Strength is the wisdom to know what you actually need and the courage to move forward. So let's talk about purpose over pressure. You maybe have to sit down with yourself. What is my purpose? Because we all know the pressure to provide, it's real. I'm not dismissing that at all because we all have to provide. The bills are real. We got to keep the bills, keep the lights on, keep the roof over our head. We got to eat. The responsibility is real. The expectation from your family, your culture, maybe even yourself that you hold things together is real. But the lie inside all of it is this: that you are only valuable when you are producing. That your love is only legible through your output. That rest is betrayal. That asking for help is failure. That silence is strength. And I'll keep it a buck with y'all. None of that is true. What is true is this: you are a whole person, not a performance, not a provider bot, not a result. A whole person with depth and need and complexity. And this is not in conflict with your ambition. It's the foundation of it. The most sustainable version of you, the one that actually builds what you're trying to build, that actually shows up for the people you love, that actually creates legacy. That version of you is not running on pressure. He's running on purpose. And purpose, unlike pressure, doesn't burn you out. It fuels you. So today, not next week, not when things slow down. Today, right now, check in with yourself. Ask the real question, not what did I actually accomplish today? Ask, how am I actually doing? And see if you can sit with that answer for more than 30 seconds. It's the start of the month, man. It's a whole new month, almost the end of the first quarter. So check in with yourself and see how you're doing. See how these first 2 months did for you, and ask yourself, how do I want to close out this first quarter of the year so I can get into this next quarter? With that being said, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Share the show, like, subscribe, wherever you listen to this at. I greatly appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I hope this helped you out because I know it helped me out. And I'm glad I was able to help you all out today because that pressure to provide, as you know, is real. Always check on yourself, check on your people, and really take that time to see how you're doing mentally because we can be grinding until we all grind it out. Check on yourself, know yourself. And with that being said, we'll be back next week with SAUNAIE. Peace.